Hi everyone, welcome back. We are about to begin our first day in One Tamriel panel. We have an audience here in PAX. Thank you for joining us, and also on Twitch. This is going to be focusing a little bit more on some of the specifics in One Tamriel once it launches. Specifically the specifics. That's hashtag specifics is kind of turning into a thing.
Specific.
But the guys will be talking about itemization changes that are coming, daily quests, and more. So we'll take questions after they're finished with their presentation, but in the meantime, you guys can kick it off.
Awesome. Thanks, Gina. Hey, everybody. My name is Rich Lambert. I'm the creative director. I'm here with Mike.
I'm Mike Finnegan, the dungeon lead.
Philip Draven, lead systems designer.
And we're going to talk in a lot more detail about some of the things you can expect when you log into ESO when One Tamriel goes live.
Did you say we're going to give specifics?
I did not.
Okay.
But we are.
But we are.
Okay.
So a lot of this is going to be, I kind of like to use inside baseball here. So, prepare for the deluge of information. So when you first log in, the big things you're going to notice are you're going to see players from other alliances in your zone. That's going to be a big thing. We removed the alliance restrictions. We've added in new weapon ultimates. So if you've maxed out your weapon skill lines, go take a look, for those and see what those do and work on those morphs. We've raised the champion point cap by 30 points. So those of you like me who are past the cap, you're going to get another 30 points to play with.
We'll catch up. We'll catch up.
You catch up. Dungeon difficulty. We separated story from difficulty. So you'll be able to play and experience, all the dungeons in both normal and veteran mode.
And masks.
Lots of masks.
Lots of new masks. We've got a ton of new daily quests and pledges. Mm-hmm. We re-itemized the entire world.
The whole world.
Which is crazy. Craglorn has been changed. So now there's more of a solo path through the zone and a ton more. So, Phil, why don't you jump in and start talking about some of the UI changes?
Yeah, so the UI team did some great work this time when we were going through. Oh, and every time. Of course. Nice timing there.
That was supposed to make me not cough.
And some of the examples of some of the things they've added were improved quest indicators. So as we were going through Craglorn and looking at the messaging of solo quests versus group quests, we wanted to make sure we could clear that up a little bit so you knew what you were getting into more reliably. And so now the quest indicators in the journal and in your tracker, I believe, will both show whether it's a repeatable, whether it's a solo-centric, whether it's a group or even a large group for trial content. And these things will show on the compass and tracker as well. So it'll be you'll know what you're getting into much more reliably.
Yep.
One of the things we haven't really talked about is now that everywhere is battle leveled and all monsters are the same level as all players, we don't need to show the monster level anymore. But why would we just show you the same thing all the time? So we get some of that UI space back. It's a little cleaner.
We're still going to show difficulty.
We are.
The monster pips on the targeting frame, but now you don't have to check to see if it's CP 160 or CP 1.
And that's actually pretty helpful because we removed the level, you actually see those pips a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a much cleaner interface.
Much cleaner way to find out the difficulty of the monster.
And then we also added a couple options for craft bag. The craft bag has obviously been one of our very popular features that we've added. I can't play without it. It's really useful for particularly for crafters, but kind of handy for everybody. But there were a couple of requests for improvements, such as being able to turn it on and off in case you wanted to go
auto stow.
The automatically going into the craft bag, being able to just toggle that. So if you want to go out and harvest for an hour, see what you got, and then stow it all, you can switch your toggle in the UI, say don't put anything in there, and then when you're ready to, there's a stow option to just stow everything that's applicable. So that's pretty handy.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, and then additional UI changes. So with One Tamriel, everybody being battle leveled, we still wanted gear to be important. We still wanted you to need to upgrade your equipment. We still wanted crafting and drops to be relevant. And so the way that this manifests is that you are better off with gear that is closer to your true level. And so when you look at your character and you say you're level 18, if you're running around with all level 5 gear, you're going to start being less effective than you would be if you were wearing level 18
Yeah, your
gear.
bonus isn't going to be as great.
Right, exactly. And so your bonus is reflected here to kind of give you a hint as to, hey, maybe this needs to be upgraded a little bit. Hey, maybe your gear's falling a little behind. Maybe you should go and craft something or buy
With the stars, it's kind of like Yelp for your gear.
Yeah, it's really clear. This here is kind of an example. This is right on your character sheet. Sorry.
Mike Finken, everybody.
I didn't like the service. Well,
Matt Weathers, everybody.
And so that shows your bonus in a very easy at a glance kind of way. And as you start seeing those stars go down, you're like, I got to do some work on my inventory and my equipment. And so that was how we approached that. And then once you get to the very top end, you'll see all 5 stars showing you that you got everything set. And then beyond the UI user interface improvements, we also have a ton of new content that's going and associated with One Tamriel. So the dailies are one of the big ones. We already have a number of dailies in the game between our pledges and our writs.
Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood.
Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, world bosses, and the DLC zones, all kinds of stuff. But we wanted to go even further, particularly with our other guilds. So now we have Mages Guild and Fighters Guild dailies that you can go out and do. Those are really fun. We'll get into the rewards for those in a little bit. And Undaunted, I know we already have the Undaunted pledges.
We had the Undaunted pledges for dungeons. Now we're adding more
for delves.
Yeah.
So these Undaunted dailies will send you into delves. You'll have specific objectives, specific targets, and that will feed back into your Undaunted progress. So
specific.
I was waiting. There we go.
it had to happen at some point.
And the goal with this, a lot of these additions, is to make it so it's a little bit easier for you to go in and earn that reputation with those guilds, and get some of those cool things. Undaunted is not super easy to get. You have to work really hard to earn it. Mages Guild and Fighters Guild as well, and so now there's just more opportunities to earn that.
Yeah, you'll still have all the existing methods. This is just one more on top of that.
And we actually added another Undaunted pledge for dungeons. So we heard the feedback that people, if one of the new DLC dungeons came up and it was the pledge for the day, it's like, well, I'm just not going to do that one that day because it's too hard or whatever. So we heard that feedback, and we kind of broke up the pledges into 3 separate pledges. So now that there's a Ugalarg, who's the new pledge giver, and she gives pledges specifically for the DLC dungeon. So she only has four pledges that she gives currently.
That should be a drinking word.
Ugalarg.
Drinking game keyword.
Specifically,
Every time we say specifically.
She only gives 4 pledges, but then Madge is still there and Galarian's still there. But all of the pledges that Madge and Galarian and Ugalarg give can be done like the pledge structure that we had done for the other dungeons. So they can be done in normal, veteran, or veteran hard mode. And you get varying key rewards. Another thing we did was remove the keys. There's no more bronze, silver, and gold key. There's just one Undaunted key, and it gives you a shoulder every single time you use it. So if you do a dungeon in normal, you get a Undaunted key. If you do it in veteran, you get an Undaunted key as well, but that's the only way you can get masks. And then if you do it in veteran hard mode, you get 2 keys. So it's an option to get 6 keys in a day. And another thing we added for this, we heard this feedback loud and clear. Some of these dungeons are long, and some of the trials are like Imperial City Prison.
Oof, that's a run.
So if you were to jump into a dungeon and somebody's already done it and they're on the last boss and you're in Imperial City Prison and you get there and you're like, all right, I'll be there in a half hour. What we did was we added checkpointing in all the dungeons so that after you kill a boss, a portal appears at the start of the dungeon that you can then click on and it ports you to the last boss that was killed. So even in trials, we did that for trials as well. So if you join a trial late, or if you need to go back to the entrance to repair your gear or whatever, then you can hit the portal and it'll take you to the last boss that was killed. So
thank you.
That you can.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Huge quality of life change.
Yeah, it is huge quality of life change, and it's so far people have been digging it.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. And then we touched on this a few times in a few other panels, but Craglorn has been redesigned. The critical path storyline is soloable now. We've gone through and we've tuned the content, the rest of the Overland content in there, and a lot of the bigger dungeons like the Ronnie Zaws and the Shadow's Tears, we've tuned that more for smaller groups. We've removed all of the hard 4-person puzzles as well. So now they're set up so that a solo person can do them. So if you want to go and Iron Man the content, and have this really hard challenge, you can do it as a solo player, or you can bring a buddy and you can go in and you can experience the zone.
It kind of opens it up because there's probably a lot of people that maybe, especially solo players, specifically solo players, that didn't do Craglorn, so or kind of skipped that. So this kind of opens that up for players to be able to kind of go back there and take it at their own.
Yeah, I still need to get some of the sky shards from those
their own
delves.
pace.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And then we have holidays. Well, we talked on this about this a little bit earlier, but to kind of recap, we really want to do more of these time-limited events that people can jump into, have some fun with, get some unique rewards, maybe run through some new quests. It's really, it's not meant to be a hardcore experience. It's there's no hard mode for the holidays, but there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of new recipes. Motifs,
Hard mode holiday.
collectibles, consumables, all kinds of stuff. And the first two that we have coming up are the Witches Festival and the New Life Festival. They're kind of associated with Halloween and the New Year, but with our Tamriel lore integrated. And they both have unique rewards associated with them. So we're really eager to see what people think of them and what kind of feedback, what kind of things you like, what kind of things you like to see more of, and we'll be incorporating that moving forward.
Another big addition with this update.
So many.
There are a shit ton of new achievements coming in.
Are you allowed to say that?
I did.
All right.
Shit ton.
Rich can say shit ton.
Yeah, we're not.
We are not allowed to say shit ton. Just Rich can say shit ton.
So
Metric
shit ton. He's Canadian. It's metric.
Hey?
yeah, so we know we have a lot of achievement hunters out there. We know the achievements tie in with some of the reputation rewards for moving through your undaunted ranks in particular.
Yes.
It's kind of rough. And with all of the new versions of the dungeons, we wanted to make sure we had those achievements set up as well.
Yeah, because each new dungeon has a hard mode for the veteran, so that you can activate a more difficult mode for each boss. So we added achievements for all that.
Achievements
and
for every
no
single
death
one.
runs and all kinds
Everything
of
you'd
stuff,
expect from the previous vet dungeons is now there for the new ones.
Yep.
And that'll give you the rep just like the others.
Do you remember the number? It was like 300 or something stupid like that?
It was a lot. I want to say it was at
Metric
least
shit ton. I believe
it was
we
at
covered
least
that.
it was at least 80 unique, I believe.
Yeah, there's yeah.
Just
helping.
for
Thanks,
the
Mike.
veterans.
That's what I'm here for.
So moving on. Itemization. So Mike touched on this a little bit.
Yep. So yeah, we have a unified key structure. Like I said, we removed bronze, silver, and gold key. Each of the pledge quest givers will now have a separate chest. So there's no bronze, silver, and gold chest. There's Mag's chest, Galarian's chest, and Ugalar's chest. And they have a certain number of pledges. They each give 12 pledges except for Ugalar, who gives 4. And there's like a little note in the Undaunted Enclave that'll tell you which person gives which pledges. And then if you use a key on their chest, it will only give you a pull from shoulders that are offered by them as a pledge. So if you get 6 keys in a day, for instance, and you want to use them all on Mag's chest, you can do that. And you're going to get 6 pulls of the shoulders that she offers. So that was a way to kind of, it's a much more consistent reward for people, so that you don't get a bronze key or a silver key and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to get. Oh, okay, I got this random blue thing.
It gives
that I
the
just
player a
wanted.
little bit more agency.
Yeah.
You can kind of
zero
choose
in.
and zero in on the thing you want.
Yep. And another part of that was also the pledges can be done in normal and veteran. I talked about this a little bit earlier, where in normal you can do, you get a key, in veteran you get a key, but you can also get the mask, and in hard mode you get 2 keys. So yeah, it's what it does is it kind of just gives you a little bit more agency to decide how you want to play that and how you want to get the rewards. That's it. You can go now.
You don't want to touch on that one bullet point there? That's huge. That 16
The
new
16
monster
new
masks?
monster masks. Yeah. So those are.
I like the guaranteed part.
Yeah,
It's a guarantee. It's a 100% chance on veteran mode to get a monster mask, and it's a 0% chance on normal. So you really, if you want to get the mask, you have to do veteran. And they're on PTS right now. We've already seen tons of theory crafters and stuff like
Bye,
that.
Gina.
Bye, Gina.
Bye, Gina. She's moving out.
She's like, I'm done.
So they're already on PTS, and we've already seen all the theory crafters. We went with the same idea behind the other monster masks, where they offer unique and interesting things, and it's usually tied towards the theme of the dungeon. So we borrow kind of the same effects that the bosses will use in those dungeons to kind of use for the special effects of these masks. They're also going to be, they cover all different play styles. So you're going to have ones that are more geared towards magic and DPS or healers or tanks or something like that.
And they look
too.
really
So
cool.
and they
Yeah,
look
they
really
look
cool.
badass.
So it's really good to go out and you can kind of like explore and find these and then use them and see what kind of works best for you.
Mm-hmm. So, getting even more into itemization beyond the dungeon masks and shoulders and pledge keys and chests.
Yeah.
We re-itemized the whole world. This was
Re-itemized.
This is a massive undertaking. So we talked about this again a little earlier. You guys.
Second bullet point.
Yeah.
Part of this was looking at all of the item sets, the way they were distributed through the world, and making it a little bit more consistent. So just like before, where dungeons might have specific item sets tied to them,
Sorry. That's a funny word now.
particular item sets associated with them. I'm going to make particular be the word now. We wanted to do something similar across the whole world. So now each zone will have a set or three sets.
Three
sets associated with them for each of the different weights and play styles. And so in order to do that, the combat team needed to create 30 new item sets to basically fill in all the holes to cover that. So there's a lot of new sets. They all have unique effects. They all have unique behavior. They all come in pretty much all equipment slots, including jewelry. There's a handful of exceptions, but the vast majority of them cover everything.
Part of that structure was also taking a look at where item sets dropped and which zones had more item sets. Like in particular, like the old trials had like 9 sets that dropped in and stuff like that. So we had to move around where
Load
specific
balance a little
sets
bit.
and load balance where the sets were going to drop. So every zone has 3 sets that they're going to drop.
Yeah,
so that means some will be added to some zones and take away from other zones and stuff like that.
The overall goal with this change is to make sure that you're being rewarded for doing the content.
Yeah.
We updated the quest rewards because they weren't great.
That's a good way to put that.
They sucked.
They weren't great.
And we really want you as the players to now, rather than just hope the item drops, to now you're always getting a drop and you're now chasing the perfect weight and the perfect trait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want a particular set, you go to a particular zone.
You know where it is. You
And-
can quest. You can kill delve bosses, group bosses, public dungeons, dark anchors, so on and so forth. You're going to be able to go there, and they all scale to your level as well.
They do, all the way up and down. There's no gaps. There's no breaks. It's pretty great. And in part of that, they tried to do some thematic naming and tying into the zone, so they feel like it makes sense that these item sets are associated with a given zone.
As an example, I think we did Tempest Island on PTS yesterday, and we all got the jolting.
We got jolting and
arm set.
overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
So
I forget what the third
I was
one
overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed.
You overwhelmed?
I was overwhelmed.
I think the group was overwhelmed.
The group was overwhelmed.
We did prevail.
Yes.
But that's
But we prevailed.
we did. We
did it,
won.
though.
Hey, we didn't have to give up in disgrace. So that's all.
True.
I'm happy
That's
for
true.
that. But that's not all. We know that we have crafters out there that are collecting their motifs, going out and getting those chapters, buying and selling them. So just like in previous updates, we're adding new motifs. This does tie in with our new repeatables. For our dailies, which is exciting. So the Craglorn repeatables now give a Yukuden, which has been long requested. People have been able to get it as drops on gear, but they haven't been able to craft it. Now they'll be able to. Draugr ties into those dailies we were talking about earlier, so the Mages, Fighter, and Undaunted Delve dailies in particular. And then the Celestial will actually start dropping from Trials, which is exciting. So kind of something for everybody, I would say. But that's not it either. In touching everything in the game, we had to look at a lot of systems that were based off of that level progression. So for example, Legerdemain, the way that it kind of determined what quality of gear you were likely to get or quality of treasure stealables, it kind of said, all right, higher level zones, higher quality stuff. But we don't have higher levels anymore. Everywhere is...
You can go anywhere and do anything.
You can go everywhere. So what do we do? We basically looked at our systems and we said, okay, well, what if it was based off of your Legerdemain rank? So now the better thief you are, the better quality items you're getting. And so now you can go to Auradon and get a good haul, whereas before you might not have been able to, and it kind of left you out of the culture and the lore that was integrated onto those items, and now you can enjoy that. Similarly, we touched things like the Thieves' Troves, which were associated with the Thieves Guild. Again, that was scaled kind of by the level of the zone. Now it's tied into your rank in the Thieves Guild. Gold was a little different too, where it was tied to the level of the zone, but again, the zone's no level. It's all based on you. And so whatever your true level is, if you're level 17, you're getting level 17 appropriate gold amounts from chests and monsters and everything else. Harvest nodes are now similarly scaled the way that they have been in the DLC zones. So half of them will be scaled to your true level, so you can craft gear for yourself, and half of them will be scaled to the associated passive rank in the trade skill. So then you can do your writs. We know there are some concerns about being able to go and harvest lower tier materials to craft for lower level friends. So one of the things that we've done with the writs is every time you turn in a writ, if If you don't get a survey report, you'll get a pile of the refined version, because no free boosters, but you'll get a pretty significant pile of the refined version of lower tier materials. It's kind of that consolation prize, and it'll feed into being able to craft lower level items. Survey reports and treasure maps were also revamped now that you can go anywhere and do anything, so you're less likely to just keep piling up all of those Rothgar survey reports and having 4 of them in
I
boxes.
still have my collector's edition maps too.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And so now when you do a writ and you get a survey report,
A little.
it may send you anywhere in the world. Same thing with treasure maps, where previously it would only send you to locations in the zone you were in. Now you can get them for anywhere in the world. You can trade them. For the treasure map specifically, you can trade them and sell them if there's a high demand item set somewhere that people might want to chase after that you're not particularly interested. Then you can use that as a commodity. And lastly, one of the things we touched was soul gems, because we didn't want to end up in a situation where people could not resurrect each other, and now everybody is essentially the same level because of battle leveling. So now all soul gems that you get in the world are going to be grand, and they'll work to resurrect yourself and anybody you come across that may have had an unfortunate accident.
Right.
So there's a few other things that we've touched, but that's a pretty good overview, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just dumped a whole ton of information on you all.
Yeah.
And I think, the best thing to do now is just open the floor up and start taking questions from Twitch and from people here. So I think Jess is going to run around with a mic for people here if they have questions, and if there's Twitch ones, ask away.
Yep, so I'm going to be running back and forth between my computer and you guys here. So those of you on Twitch, please be patient with me. I'm going to be grabbing your questions as I can. So let's start here with
Twitch
our
is
live
known
audience.
for its patience. I mean,
Twitch is known for its
Of
patience.
course you
Yes,
have
it
a
is, it
question.
is.
Everybody, this is Atropos from Tamriel Foundry.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, folks. Rich, this is, I guess, mostly for you, but anyone can
Aw.
pitch in. So, with One Tamriel, one thing I'm excited about is finally getting to run dungeons with a bunch of contacts.
I like
that
it.
have
I like it.
from the ESO community, getting to play with new groups. So, what about for players who start finding themselves playing with a new group or a new guild, and then that awkward moment comes where it's like, hey, you guys want to head out to Cyrodiil? What are you thinking about the interaction between One Tamriel and the Alliance War, and is the potential for alliance changes on the horizon, or any other mechanics to let people continue?
It certainly, One Tamriel certainly makes it easier for us to do something like an alliance change. We don't have plans to do that right now. But, we need to get One Tamriel out first and then see how that goes and then go from there. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be any more awkward than it is now, where you have cross-alliance guilds already. So.
Okay, I'm going to take one from chat here just so I can stay up to speed with the moving chat. This one came in earlier during the chat. The question was, so we don't have to get all those blue books to level Mages Guild anymore?
well, I mean, you still can, and you still will, because you're not restricted to a daily. But if you want a big infusion, you'll run your daily, and it'll help you out.
It's mainly bridging that gap and
It's a
helping
supplement.
that.
It's just extra.
If you don't want to chase the books down, you don't have to. You can do the dailies.
Like Mages Guild
vice versa.
steroids.
It might take you a little longer than just chasing down all the books, but it's your choice now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take one from the live audience here. Anybody?
Will Nirnkrugs be taken out of Craglorn and put in the real world, or is it staying in Crag?
This is his favorite topic, buddy.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot.
We talk about this a lot.
Yeah, we do discuss it a lot internally. Over time, we have slowly relaxed some of the restrictions on Nirnkrugs. So before it was only upper Craglorn, now it's everywhere in lower Craglorn. We've adjusted the drops from the survey reports a little bit to make them a higher yield, and we're also allowing them to start dropping off the leaderboards so players can get it via those. We are going to keep an eye on it. We do kind of like that. There's this end game to the research game that's a little bit more of a commodity in the market, but we don't want to make it prohibitively expensive or just really frustrating. We're also hoping that with the revamped Craglorn, there'll be more players there, more Nirnkrugs entering the market, and it'll the price will come down a little bit. But it's something we're continuing to monitor, and if we were to ever expand the trade system at all, then we would revisit the balance rate of Nirnkrugs entering the world as well.
Jess is madly typing on her laptop.
Okay, got one here from Chimney Swift. Some people on PTS have been saying that certain things drop in pen. In Update 12, are overland items dropping in pen, but dungeon sets are not? Basically, is that intended?
Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
That's one of the things I'd have to go back and chat with Roble about.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the live audience?
I know we went back and forth on that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we talked about.
That's that's a good discussion we haven't.
I will take another question
Well,
from
you know what? You could tell him to give us his feedback on what he thinks of that.
Yeah.
Chimney Swift.
I know what his
Give us
feedback
your
is going to be.
This is from Folksfracken. Will there be any information about Cadwell's Silver for players to go into enemy territory without finishing the main quest as some kind of explanation?
Yeah, so all of that is still there. You know, right now on the live server, Cadwell Silver and Gold is kind of like your difficulty setting, and that goes away, but the storyline is still there. So if you want to go through and play different alliances before you get to that point where Cadwell shows up and gives you the quest, you can. And when you eventually do get to that point, the quest will auto-update based on your progress.
Yeah, it'll be
So you could essentially
retroactive.
complete silver and gold before.
Yeah, you
your
can
main,
play.
and
You
then
can play through
auto-complete all of
every
it.
quest in
Yep.
the game, and then get Cadwell Silver, and this quest will
instant
automatically
complete.
update.
Yep.
And then you can get gold, and it'll automatically update. So now it's more of just a storyline rather than a difficulty mode.
Yep.
Okay. Any more from the audience? Okay, there's lots from chat.
Don't be shy, guys.
This is from Tarmo Rocks. Will you be able to get gold jewelry from Vet hard mode dungeons, not from trials, such as gold scathing mage jewelry?
Not necessarily. So while we are committing to having jewelry in the vast majority of item sets, it's not necessarily in a given quality.
Right.
The quality is generally tied to the source. So the types of items you're getting from vet dungeons are most likely going to be purple. The types of items you're getting from normal dungeons are going to be blue, and the types of items you're going to be getting from overland is most likely going to be green or blue.
Green or
depending.
blue, yeah. The
So
trials will still drop gold jewelry.
up to gold.
And
In
the,
hard mode, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from T the Khajiit. Hi, T. We recognize this name. Is it possible for certain monsters to be marked as non-aggressive in potential nice roleplay locations? We usually just kill things as they spawn, but it might be a little more annoying with battle leveling.
I think if you want to send us areas, locations, we can look at those.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want to break any quests in the
Yeah.
area or justice behavior, but
There's always the potential to move some things around if...
You know, monsters like to role play too. Why you gotta kill them?
I mean, we've definitely
Slowly
added some
messed
more
up.
roleplay spaces in,
yeah.
you know.
But we're receptive to it. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the time it's just a
Monsters
matter of
are like,
moving a spawn.
I'm a monster.
Can you do
Hey,
that?
Dad.
Can you do that again?
Yeah, just send us some feedback with locations and we
Okay.
can look at them.
Yeah, we definitely want to support our role players.
So I am Jamie22. I see your question. It's about dueling in groups of 4v4. That would be a really good question for Brian Wheeler, and he'll be back at 2:30.
Could probably answer.
So
For how to get good.
if you're able to come back then, ask your question then. We've got a question here from Jamie Aubrey. 1 second.
Jess's laptop just turned off.
Yep, it did. No, it seriously did. Okay. Do you guys have any questions from? Do you guys have any questions from the live audience?
Ask
Anything
away.
You've seen while I get this up
Don't
and
be
running
shy.
again.
Only Mike bites.
Okay.
Just to fill the space. So, lots of cool new motifs for crafters, but a lot of players don't use full player crafted armor. So, any thoughts about allowing those motifs to be applied to existing non-crafted items in the future?
So being able to change your style?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, it's on a list. It's not going to be anytime soon
Sure.
if
And
we
I-
do it, but it's something that we've kind of gone back and forth
I think
about.
the part of something that we would definitely take a look at is maybe taking a look at some of those styles and then seeing if a costume can be made out of it or something like that. Like I know in particular like the mercenary style or something like that, where you take a look and you go, oh, that would be cool as a costume or something like that. So that would probably be something we could take a look at too. I imagine.
It's a big request. We've
Yeah,
talked about it
yeah.
a lot.
Just
Okay.
laptops back online.
Yeah, it was like, you need to restart. No. Not right now. This is from Blazing Dynamo 17. Are adventure zones like Craglorn no longer going to be part of the game?
Adventure zones like Craglorn.
So as in like needing a full group, I believe, is what he's getting at.
Right. So I think the big thing that we learned over the course of the last 2 years of the game being open is we want to make sure that players have the freedom to explore all zones, and requiring 4 players to just step foot in a zone wasn't as popular as I can go into a zone and start to explore it, and then when I start to run into the difficult stuff, I can find people who are there and can play with me. So I think that's going to be more of the model that we're going to follow going forward.
I think that Orsinium was a big part of that and a big win for us on
It
that.
was.
In that we had, what we want to do is we want to just support all the different play styles.
Yeah,
we
and having
have,
that clarity and the messaging that kind of goes
Yeah.
with some of the UI improvements,
Yeah.
that mix of solo and group content.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
So I think
yeah.
we'll still keep doing things like the Craglorn, but more like the newer Craglorn or the newer DLCs where there's a little bit of something for everybody, and then
Yep.
we're clearly messaging where the group stuff is versus the solo stuff.
Okay, we've got one again from Jamie Aubrey. The 5-piece Lamia's set, and Rish, if this is a verbal question, we can
Okay, just
say
ask.
that.
Yes.
The 5-piece Lamia's set, when you activate the ultimate, you heal for 7k health. Is this a one-time thing? Or if a sorcerer keeps activating overload, will this keep healing allies?
I don't know.
That's okay.
It's a
I'm
good
not
question.
gonna lie.
It is a really good question.
There's a lot of item sets, and they all have unique mechanics.
We have to take a look at it. Yeah, the Sorcerer Overload is a unique snowflake.
And part of PTS is
we have to
having
take a
people
look at
try
that
these
one.
things out.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's a good
But I mean,
question.
that's
we can go back and ask. Roll.
and I'm pretty sure that that's been thought about. Like, it's not like somebody's like, oh right, sorcerers have an ultimate. So, I don't know, to be honest with you though. I'd have to see. Jump on PTS.
What I'm hearing is jump on PTS and give your
Yeah.
feedback. This one I didn't grab the name, but it says regarding battle leveling, are there any plans to slightly raise the mob's difficulty in all zones, or add the option for that?
So, as part of the battle leveling the entire zone, we actually went back and looked at all the monsters overall, the overall difficulty, and we've changed the difficulty on the monsters to some degree. We're kind of in this unique situation where we have a range of skill levels for our players. There's the top end that, they're running 50 plus KDPS in a trial. And then we have our lower end players or our brand new players that
Are not.
They're not.
are not orders of magnitude lower. And so we have to make sure that everything we do in the overland, the average person can play and compete in. We have the tricked out veteran dungeons
Yeah.
and the veteran hard mode trials for those super elite, super hardcore players. And so we have to find that balance. But we did change the balance.
I mean, it's been
we looked
like
at time to kill.
It's
things
been
that.
like one of those things that we've been doing for like months,
Yep.
where we literally sat down in offices and got that battle leveling, kind of like in our play tests and stuff. Like, got that battle leveling really, really focused on where's a sweet spot, so that higher end players still find a challenge when lower end players, because lower end players may not, lower level players may not have resource management and stuff like that higher end players do. So it's a very delicate balancing act, but this is part of why it's on PTS, why it's going to be on PTS for so
Right. And in
so long,
regards-
is to make sure that everybody gets a chance to kind of try it. and see
In
what
regards to that second part of the question of a difficulty switch, for the overlands, we don't have any plans like we do with the dungeons where you can choose your difficulty mode, but it's something that we can, once we get One Tamriel in there, we can start to look at that stuff.
Yeah, I just want to be careful where we're trying to aggregate players and not
Yep.
break them apart.
Right.
And so
Right.
allowing them to opt into hard mode in dungeons is kind of a good compromise
Yep.
that we've hit.
This is a question from Otaku of Me. Will there be a group search tool update for trials?
Oh, like you're looking for trial?
I would love that.
Yeah, Mike bugs me about it all the time.
Love that.
It's on our list.
Okay. This is by Donkey Lord. I love names.
That's
like that.
No,
Hail Lord
that's-
Donkey.
How much will Orsinium be affected by One Tamriel?
it won't be.
Very
Should
little.
be very little. I don't think we.
The biggest difference is you're going to see all alliances in Rothgar. But
Yeah.
it's still going to be battle level. It's still going to
The
work.
quest
the same way.
rewards will be better.
Yep.
I don't know that we changed the item sets there, though.
I don't know.
Okay.
We changed some of the public dungeon stuff, but
We're pretty
Anybody
happy
from
with
the
those.
Yeah.
audience have any questions? You think of anything?
Oh, there's another hand.
Yay.
hands in hands.
Will item sets that you get from like the Undaunted, will we see the like training, prosperous? Will those traits possibly be changing to something more desirable?
So the starter islands, I know,
Drop in training.
drop in training, and that was a specific change that we made specifically
Ayo.
for specifics. So that was a change we made so that new players, when they come in, they're going to get an item set, and it's going to drop in training, and it's going to help them as they progress through. As far as prosperous training, that kind of stuff, we could take a look. I don't know if we've made all those changes yet, but I know it's in particular with dungeons and trials. Me and Robo will have discussions like all the time about, let's take a look at what we want to do with the traits that are dropping in these kind of
In trials in particular, they no longer drop training and prosperous.
Right.
I don't remember what we did with the dungeons.
Right.
It's still dropping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I know because we just did one yesterday.
Oh, that's right, you guys
Yeah,
did,
but
you
we
got
just got a training.
I got
one.
a training mask.
So it's a discussion that's always open, so that we can always go back and forth and talk and say, hey, you know what, this doesn't make sense to
And-
kind of have it in this, but then sometimes it does. So
And then the traits themselves, I know, they've done a couple passes on improving them and rebalancing them, and if some of them aren't hitting the marks, like Prosperous, for example, I know that they want to go back and give it another look.
Okay. And Andrew, did you have one? Sorry, Ataros. I'm giving away your secret identity.
Will you denote from a UI perspective the native alliance of someone in the world? I probably should have known that from BTS, but I
believe
didn't-
there's an
I didn't know
indicator.
Is it
yet.
still the
I-
shield?
I think
looked,
it's still the shield, like in PvP.
Yeah.
I have to go back and look.
It doesn't keep you from grouping or anything,
No.
but it gives you a heads up.
I don't remember if I know at one point we had them on there, and then I think we tried turning them off because it didn't really matter as much in the Overland.
In case you want to strategically issue dueling challenges.
Right.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know where we
I have
landed,
to
but
look.
I know it was on there at one point. We can
Yeah.
talk about it if people
Yeah.
really like to see it.
Let's see. We've got some more from chat. This is from Wolf Size. Do you think this new One Tamriel arrangement will make mixed class builds more viable, or will you still be forced into a single role?
Mixed class, like hybrid builds.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
So that's a really. It really depends on what you're doing. Like we've seen.
Who you're
I can
grouping
speak to
with.
dungeons. We've seen dungeons where the tank and the healer is the same class, and you run 3 DPS or something like that.
Yep.
So there is, I think, a spot for some. I've seen healer DPS combos and stuff like that. So
And the different item set bonuses also open up a lot of options.
They do help. I think
Yeah.
the other big thing that we're starting to focus on a lot more now that One Tamriel is kind of wrapping up is looking at what we can do to incentivize players to not dump all of their attribute points into Magicka or all into stamina, because that's kind of that's the most optimal way to do it.
yeah.
So that's I know Roble is looking at that stuff now.
Okay, I've seen this question asked a few times in chat. So just throwing it out there from Samuel Patz. He's wanting to know if there will be a big class balance in the future, in One Tamriel, or if it's something we're still planning on.
Yep, we're looking at it.
Okay.
I think the goal, the feedback that we're getting a lot is, well, stamina is so strong, stamina is so strong, stamina is so strong, and it is strong, and we want to make sure that Magicka is in a good place too. So that's one of the things that Roble, and part of the looking at everybody jamming all their attribute points into stamina or Magicka, that's part of the going back and revisiting some of the classes and looking at the balance.
Here's one from Super T Squen. Do we have any plans to add more emotes?
More emotes.
More emotes to the game.
I know we've been kind of looking at personalities and adding those. I know those have been very popular with players and role players in particular. And some of those have some interesting emote
Yeah, they have unique
overrides
emotes.
that kind of change up the emote system a little bit. And so we'll probably be doing more of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else from the live audience think of a question you'd like to ask? Okay. I've got some more from chat. This is from Ijnels. I saw somewhere that the Cyrodiil Monster Merchant would sell gold quality jewelry. Is that true?
Yep.
I haven't heard it confirmed.
Yep.
Confirmed. All right.
Not necessarily every single type of gold jewelry,
But there's a subset of jewelry that you can buy.
Okay. This is from Demon Wrath Death Rain. That sounds like a death metal band.
Right?
Will we ever
Demon
see
Wrath.
large-scale raiding or raid dungeons in ESO, such as 24-man versus
Oh,
one
God, no.
big boss?
Don't make fun.
Spoke too early. Spoke too
Don't make
early.
fun.
Sorry. No, it's not. I'm not making fun of that question at all.
we tried it, right? Didn't
we-
once, internally.
Yeah, when we originally prototyped trials, we had a choice and we were going back and forth. And one of the things we did was try 24 players, and that's a
couldn't see anything.
That's a cluster. It's that building that kind of. We think 12-man right now really gets the sense that everybody is kind of pulling their own weight and stuff like that. And the more players you add to that kind of stuff, the more you dilute that. So that the less effective players feel about how they're doing. So I don't have to necessarily pull this stuff because somebody else is going to carry the weight here. And the more you dilute that, the less good it feels. Not to mention that many player effects plus the amount of effects we throw in the trials would.
Plus all the monsters.
Balancing
plus,
all the
and
monsters.
messaging
The amount of that's
We're
that's
really
a lot
happy
of
with the
work
12
with it.
the
And
12
we're
person
really
trials.
happy with how 12 players works.
So no.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you all for being so patient with me in Twitch chat. I'm grabbing questions
No
as
problem.
fast as I can. Thanks, Mike. This one is from Volksfraken again. As One Tamriel is the future of ESO, will we combine and remake old zones in the future, like combining certain zones into a holistic Valenwood?
Oh, I see. So expand upon the already existing zones. I don't. Right now, we don't have any plans for it. I don't think so. I would rather build new stuff than go back and revisit old stuff. Where it makes sense for things like Craglorn, where it didn't really hit it off, and not a lot of people got to see it, that made sense. But all of the other base zones are actually really popular, and there's tons of people in them all the time. So I would rather build something new.
Okay, this is a really good question from Callie the dog. If I'm playing with my battle-leveled friends, can we share quests with each other, and can we be
Yes.
battle-leveled down?
No, you can't be battle leveled down. So the player is always battle leveled up. I have a real big problem with losing power when I play. I would much rather continue where I'm at or be leveled up so I can kind of know what I'm looking forward to.
But yeah, if you're level 15 with a level 45 friend who picked up a quest, you can
You can play it as long as the level 45
Yeah.
friend hasn't completed it.
Yeah, as long as you meet the requirements for it and you haven't already completed it.
Yeah, you're all brought up to a level.
Yep.
Nobody's brought down.
Okay, this is from Kitschy. It sounds like this is a question from the PTS. Is dueling is outside interference by players buffing others intended?
So the way dueling works is when you challenge another player, there's that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. When it hits 1 and the duel starts, you are locked in against your dueling partner, and there can be no outside interference. So before that, if somebody pops like an igneous weapons or something like that, everybody in that area is going to get it. And so if you're both dueling against each other and you're near that player, you'll both get that buff because everybody's friendly. So yes, there can be some outside influences before the duel starts, but once the duel actually starts, you're locked in and there's no outside influence.
And I think Brian touched on this, where it's pretty much going to be gentleman's agreement with that kind of stuff. It's like,
Right.
oh, okay, well, you got buffed in this way, and dueling isn't. You're not
losing anything.
You're earning pride. You're not losing any
Yep.
AP or anything like that. So it's very much a social feature. Kind of.
Yeah, and
There's
there's
social features you can kill people.
players in Cyrodiil are already doing
Social
the dueling
murder.
thing.
Social murder.
And there's a lot of kind of unwritten rules. It's kind of fun to watch where you have to blow your ultimate before you actually fight the other person.
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
So that's how the system is going to work.
Yep.
Any questions from our live audience?
One over here.
Oh, yay, we have one. Coming over.
Twitch is monopolizing the question.
Oh, they have a lot of good questions. Actually, before I get into this, I'm seeing a lot of questions about like future content and housing, and I just want to say we know you guys are really excited to hear about that, but we're focusing on One Tamriel right now.
Yep.
Housing is
so
next,
we're not
though.
ignoring your questions. It's just we're focusing on One Tamriel
Yep.
right now.
So with One Tamriel, are there any plans to add more of Elsewhere?
Maybe.
Not in update 12.
Not in One Tamriel, yeah.
I mean, we have future plans. We have all kinds of plans. Like my whiteboard,
Yeah.
was spec'd out past 2018 for the places we want to go and the features we want to add to the game. We're committed to the game and building on the game. So
And if you look at the world map from where we launched to where we are now, I mean,
Yeah.
we've added massive swaths of area.
we have a lot of
in
cool
Tamriel.
places we haven't fully
And-
explored.
And there's a lot more to go, so.
Okay, more from Twitch chat. This
think
is
we're
from
here too.
There's a question.
We gotta have another one up front. Okay, I'll get you in a
Yeah.
sec. Ixie92, will all purple jewelry outside of Cyrodiil be BOP if available from vet dungeons?
Dungeons are BOP, yes.
So this comes back to the sourcing, kind of like with the quality, but the sourcing will dictate whether it's bind on pickup or bind on equip. So most of the things you're getting from
Yes.
Overland are tradable. Most of the things you get from Dungeons and Trials,
Everything you get from Dungeons.
everything you get from
BOP.
Dungeons and Trials will be BOP,
BOP.
but you can still trade amongst your group,
Yes.
of course, but you won't be able to put it on the
Yes.
market.
Yeah, our
Correct.
goal with that, especially in the dungeons and the vet modes, is we want you to participate in that content.
Yep.
We don't want you to just be able to go and buy something from another player and go, look, I got this cool thing, right? You should participate in that stuff. And we experimented with it a little bit in Update 11, and everybody liked it, especially a lot of the hardcore raiders because they made a crap ton of money on it. But, I kind of like the idea of you have to participate in this content in order to get the gear.
Yeah.
And with the additional item sets in the Overland, you have options if
There's
And
tons.
part of the first part of that was allowing you to trade BOP items to your group.
That was a
once
game
we-
changer.
Yeah, so once we got that kind of tech, then it made more sense for us to pull back on allowing BOE in Dungeons and Trials and really focus everything on BOP because you can still trade it amongst your group. Hi.
Hello. I was wondering, are you guys considering adding any new playable races, like maybe aliens?
Oh boy. We get this question a lot.
At least you didn't say Dwemer.
We get this question a lot. No plans. At least not in the foreseeable future, but
Right.
never say never.
Yep.
Okay, one more from Twitch chat. This is from Sneaky Mitchell. How sneaky. Will there be any new DLC for ESO, like more places to explore and stuff? I really love the
Yeah, I would hope
crafting
so.
locations. I just want more things to craft and make my weapons and armor look how I want.
Yes,
not
there-
for One Tamriel.
always
but-
adding more motif. Well, I mean, new
we are
motifs
adding
in
new
One Tamriel,
motifs,
so
yes.
that'll be.
We are
part of it.
absolutely committed to keeping the game fresh and updating it on that quarterly cadence like we've been doing for the last year and a half.
And
Yep.
the holiday events even give us more of a cadence,
Yep.
whereas you don't have to necessarily wait for an entire new update. You might just wait
There
for
is
the holiday.
some really cool new motif stuff with the Witches Festival.
Oh man, people
Yep.
are gonna go
Really
nuts.
cool new stuff.
This is one from Yamenstein. Do we get to repeat all the quests in the previous zones, as a lot of us have finished them in the first place? Or should I just not bother playing those until One Tamriel comes out?
Kind of up to you. but
Play every day. So
So I think the big thing with that is, the quest rewards have been updated to have set pieces, but there's still other ways in the zones to get those same set pieces.
You're not
So
locked out.
You're not locked out. So if you've done all the quests already, you can still go back and you can farm treasure chests or kill delve bosses or group bosses.
Or the
treasure
dolmen.
chest man over there. Or the dolmens. So there's other ways to get that gear. So just play the game.
So, like, if you were to get a specific item from a quest, it would just have one of the set piece bonuses for the sets that drop in the
Yeah.
zone. So it's not like you're getting a completely like quest line unique set piece or anything like that.
Got a question here.
This is more of like a philosophical question.
Okay.
But more
It's gonna
about
get
like the
deep.
high level game design.
Why
But,
are we here?
I know that I suspect that one of the challenges you guys have faced as you've been developing the game throughout this time is how to sort of balance the MMO elements with the Elder Scrolls elements, and how to like draw that line.
Yep.
And so I'm curious about how One Tamriel sort of affects that, because one of the things I think about with the Elder Scrolls is the idea of exploration and running across something. Oh my gosh, what's this? And then maybe it's over your head,
Yep.
and you back out, and it's not necessarily like a group area, but it's just wow, this is content that's really hard.
Right.
And how does One Tamriel affect that?
So One Tamriel is really the essence, I think, of Elder Scrolls, right? Before working on this, I worked on Oblivion, and one of the things I learned in Oblivion was, it's up to the player to kind of choose where they want to go and how they want to play the game. And with One Tamriel, we removed the game telling you you're not high enough level to go here.
Right.
And, the exploration is just there. You see that mountain in the background, you can just go. And you could always do that at a zone-by-zone level, but you can never do that outside of a zone. And so now you can.
And
you
part
were
of this-
restricted to the one alliance as
Yeah.
well until you hit
Right.
maximum level. Now you're not.
And part of this is also what you mentioned about finding an area that's too hard for you and then backing out and saying, I'm going to come back to this later. Part of that actually helps us with group content, because now it's not just a single player game. So if you find an area and you say, oh, this is too tough, now you can go get your friends. And rather than a single player Elder Scrolls game where you're like, I just have to go do something else before I can come back and do this. Now it's well, let me get a couple of friends together. But you're not level gated. It's not a hard number that's just saying, well, he's 27 and I'm 15, so that's why I can't do it. Now it's specifically, either I don't have enough skills or I don't have enough friends with me.
I don't even think that one
Specifically.
was deliberate.
I said specifically. Drink, everybody.
So we have a question here from Pretzel Lesko. Do you have any plans to add a third tier of difficulty to current veteran dungeons?
No, although Mike keeps poking me at that.
Okay. Sasquatch's BFF wants to know.
Sasquatch's BFF.
I'm glad Sasquatch has a friend.
No, it's a
it's-
BFF.
yeah, best friend.
Nice.
So during the PTS, how flexible are you guys with changing some of the mechanics, such as One Piece new monster sets? I ask because a lot of these sets seem to benefit stamina DPS and not magicka DPS.
So PTS is our place to test and tune and tweak things. So this is our first pass.
Yep.
We look at feedback all the time. We look at bugs all the time on PTS. And I am certain that there will be things that we go back and tune and tweak based on player feedback.
Just
So-
the sheer amount of stuff we touched in One Tamriel ensures that we're going to take a
Yeah,
look at all
so,
this feedback.
if you have specific feedback on specific sets, God bless.
Oh, man. People are getting drunk.
I need to be. If you have feedback on sets, anything in particular, just submit the bugs, submit the feedback, and we'll hit it.
Yep.
We'll look at it.
And balance numbers are much easier to adjust. If you don't like the art of it, that might be a little harder for us to adjust.
The art is awesome.
The art
for us
is
to art
awesome.
harder.
Yeah.
I see a recurring theme here. Get on PTS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any more questions from our live audience? One up front.
Is there any plans to make this cross-platform in the future?
I get that question a lot, especially
Yeah.
within the office.
You got that question from us.
Literally the day that it got
I
announced.
think he got spammed.
I
Are
got
we doing it?
100 emails from people in the studio, and they're like, does this mean we can do this now? Oh my God. And so really it's a business decision, and our partners are very particular in who they want and how they want their players to use their platform. So there's still a lot of questions and a lot of negotiations that need to happen there. I think it would be cool, but we don't have any plans to do anything like that right now.
It's also exploring the tech angles and seeing how to do that, because I imagine it's easier to do from the ground up, but when you're an established type game and then to go back and try to fit all that together.
Everybody at the
there's a
studio
lot
is really
of,
excited
there's a
about
lot
the
of stuff
potential.
that has to go into that.
So I've got 4 more questions from Twitch chat since we're getting close to the end. And if you guys have any questions, just raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to go with some of these Twitch questions. This is from Elidoa. Sorry if I butchered that. With One Tamriel, has changes to achievements been considered with more open world players who can easily grind achievements? Could a reward system for achievements or something be expected?
So there already is a reward mechanism for achievements, which is dying.
And
You
titles,
earn-
rep.
There's
He means
titles.
recoloring your gear, not dying.
Thank you. You unlock dies. Like that's part of the achievement system is you unlock dies. There are titles that you unlock. You finish Cadwell's Gold and you get the pot hat, right? Hey, little man. Hey, bud. So yeah, there's already a lot of really cool things. I don't know that I want to go even further to incentivize players to do, achievements.
We have
We
a
just
young
got
ESO
overwhelmed by
hero in the
Q.
making here.
You want to be famous? Come on up. Hi. Say hello.
Okay, this is from Zunaroth. If my friend is in a phased area that's changed by a quest and I'm in a different phase, is it possible that we can see each other?
So that was actually one of the things that we worked really hard after launch to kind of solve. We kind of went overboard with our layering and our phasing, and so we fixed a lot of those areas. There's still a few, but it is dramatically improved.
It's pretty uncommon at this point.
It's pretty uncommon to find those.
Quite a lot of time going back through a lot of those areas and trying to fix those whenever possible or adjust them whenever possible. So,
But when you do run into those, you're still evaluated on your progress.
yeah.
So there will still be cases where you won't be able to see your friend if
Yeah.
they're at a different point in the quest.
And new content generally steers away from that as much as possible.
We learned a lot.
So Dominoid's in chat, and I tried Dominoid, I tried asking you about this. I'm not quite sure what you're asking about, so we'll see if these guys do. He's asking if there's any plans to finish the Delve expansion that was stopped after Update 6.
Making the delves bigger. So we got through the first
Couple tiers.
three tiers,
Three tiers.
Oh,
and
okay.
didn't finish the other ones.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where how do we balance building new stuff versus going back and hitting older things? And, I think there's 2 tiers of zones left. Don't know that we'll go back to them anytime soon, but maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more from chat, and then if you guys in our live audience have any questions, again, feel free to raise your hand and I'll get to you in the last 3 minutes here. This is from Red Eyes, Red Skies. That's catchy. Will you guys add timers, for example, Vigor Rally, food timers on the screen for console players? It
So
would
buff
be very
timers?
useful.
Buff trackers?
Buff trackers? It's something that we're working on.
Okay. Confirmed. This is
Confirmed that
from
we're working
Sneaky
on it.
Mitchell.
Yeah, confirm that we're working
Confirmed
on
that we're working on it.
Confirm they're not added anytime soon.
So with the One Tamriel update, what is with the new guild quests? It's like bounty. Is it like bounties, like the Fighters Guild in Cyrodiil? Is there any unique items if you complete them? And if so, is it RNG luck?
So I think the best example I could give, and you can jump on a PTS to check this stuff out, but with the Fighters Guild, they send you after Dark Anchors and closing a number of Dark Anchors. Mages Guild, I don't remember what Mages Guild was. Do you? Off the top of your head? I don't remember off the top of my head. Undaunted is chasing down delves and delve bosses. So those kind of activities that are thematically appropriate to the guild.
And sometimes you need to hit a couple different locations. And,
Yep.
and as to the unique rewards, that's where the motifs come in.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions from our live audience? Okay. I saw one more in chat that I'm going to throw out. It's from X Draconis, and he or she would like to know, are the new dailies shareable?
I want to say yes.
Man, I don't remember.
But I'm not
I
positive.
don't remember. Jeremy's probably screaming at his monitor right now, going, "Oh my God, you know this!" But I don't remember.
Okay. I think we're going to wrap things up then. So
Okay.
thank you all so much for joining us on Twitch and here live at PAX West in the audience.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And thank you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Happy
Not a
to do
problem.
it.
So we will be back. We're going to take a break until 2 o'clock, and then we will be back to talk with Brian Wheeler about all things PvP and our Alliance War Roundtable. So we'll see you then.